Then I got to play the step. I'll be rubbing tonight.
I know people don't know which door come. I had to ring the bell to come to that door.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It is so glad to see all of your beautiful faces this morning. Our fine audience that we have. We want to thank you for coming out today just to get this information, your FYI forum. Thank you to those who are online as well. One of the things that we want to make sure that we do here at First Baptist Church Broad is to ensure that we make sure that you are equipped with the information that you need moving forward. If there's any information out in that's going on in the universe that you may need to know, whether it's about insurance, whether it's about scams, or whatever it may be, and we think that this audience may need it, it may help you, we're gonna make sure that we do our due diligence as your family to make sure that you are equipped with the right information. Amen. This morning, we have our Miss Pamela Williams here from New Alliance Insurance Agency to come in to welcome our speaker for today, just to make sure, because there are some changes coming to your insurance, and we want to make sure that you are very informed about that. So without further ado, Ms. Pamela.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Pamela Williams, and I am a licensed insurance broker. This is not a meeting about your Medicare plan, but information about Medicare, and I want you to be informed. Is there any questions about your current Medicare plan or your new plan for 2025? I have some forms on the table that you should fill out and give it to me, and I'd be more than happy to do a one-on-one session with you. Today I have Chuck Call with Humana. He will be our guest speaker. And if after he's done, if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask general questions, but not anything about your Medicare plan in itself. All right? Thank you. Chuck.
My turn?
Your turn.
All
Your
right.
time.
Let's see if this clicker's working. It is. Good. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Because I can't stand still. So as long as you can hear me, I'm going to move a little bit. Looks like we have some folks online. Hello. Can't see the screen though. So, who here is an expert on Medicare? I'm going to call somebody out. We're in the classroom now. Let's see. This lady right here. You're an expert on Medicare, right?
I know, very little.
Or do you have that?
Yes.
Okay. So everybody here, who has that? And who doesn't? Put your hands down. Who doesn't? Okay, doesn't? Okay. That means, guess what? You'll get it one day. All right. So what does Part A do? So we got hospital, we got ambulance. What else does it do? No, good point. Yeah. So hospital. So if you go to the hospital with Part A, it's going to cover everything, right? I'm glad to hear that, because the answer is absolutely it will not cover everything. So in fact, the way I learned hospital was, a hospital, by the way, it's really like a hotel. They rent rooms, they rent beds, and they do it by the hour, quite frankly, okay? If they can get you out, they want you out, put another one right in your place. All right? When you are in Part A, it covers inpatient hospital care. But nowadays, it's very hard to get into the hospital. Sometimes you sit out in the hallway in what they call observation, right? So things are changing because guess what? So within the first 24 hours, you can be in observation. So you're actually not inpatient, but you're not outpatient either. You're just kind of in limbo, right? And that it can be confusing. So just know, when it comes to Part A, it will cover the room, the bed. So here's the question. All right. Young man back there, where is the most expensive hotel room you've ever paid for, and where were you? Okay, answer that for him if you can. Where were you when you were at the expensive hotel? LA. You were there for something fun, right? Okay. Anybody else go and buy a hotel room that's expensive and had no fun? You were usually there on vacation, right? You're having a good time. Well, do you know how much the hotel room costs for that right there, that Part A hospital? If we call it a hotel. Mm-hmm. So if you only have Medicare red, white, and blue, and you go to the hospital and you're inpatient, what is your amount you owe for that one night stay? $1,632. That's your deductible, y'all. Okay? Now, if you're there longer than one night, well, that gets divided by that many nights you're there. So, but no matter what, it costs $1,632. That's your deductible. And that doesn't cover the doctors and nurses that walk in the door of your room. That's 20%. It's like tipping them 20%, unlimited, even if their service was horrible. You know, we don't tip unless the service is real good, right? But 20% guaranteed. They just get write their name on your chart. 20%.
Get the money.
And do you know what? They can tip you or they can charge 20%. Is there a cap on that? Is there a limit to what they can charge?
No.
That was one person that said no, but the rest of you are like, I don't know. And the answer is there is absolutely no maximum out-of-pocket cap for Medicare Part B. You are unlimited exposure for both, anything Medicare related, unlimited. You go to the hospital 3-4 times, guess what? Keep paying. 20% bill, unlimited. So if you have a normal, let's say you have a normal heart attack in Memphis, Tennessee, okay? A normal one. So you go to the hospital, you probably showed up in an ambulance, right? That's going to cost you some money. Then you go into the hospital, they admit you, $1,632. Then the average stay is 2 to 3 days inpatient, then they kick you out to what? Outpatient. And that's where Part B kicks in mostly. Part B is medical. So any services like doctors, nurses, etc., are covered under Part B. Okay? Well, that's 20% of the bill. And the average stay for a heart attack patient after 5 days, what do you think that is? It's about 50,000. You're close. It's about 50,000. And you just owe 20% of that. So $10,000 plus 1,632. And you all, I know this is a good crowd. You've got that in your sock drawer at home, don't you? No. You know it. Exactly. Even if you did, why would you want to pay that?
Right.
Okay? So that's literally what could happen. But guess what? If you have a heart attack, you're just cured right away after 5 days. It takes about 6 months on average to get back to normal. So a lot of therapy, a lot of recovery, and that's all under Part B, 20%, unlimited. The average heart attack in the Memphis area costs about $147,000 in total cost, and you owe 20% of that. This is what you have. So how do you feel? You feel good about your insurance plan? This is a good plan.
Okay.
But are you comfortable with being on the hook for 20% of $150,000? So don't have a heart attack, okay? But anything that happens, that's what Part B and Part A do, okay? So how much does Part B cost you? Is it free? What's it cost right now? There's a lot of you don't know, and this is coming right out of your Social Security check. You don't even pay attention. $174.90. So $175 a month. Okay? And it comes right out of your Social Security check. Because guess what? The government gets their money first. Okay. Next year, what's it going to go to? Well, it's going to go up. We don't know yet, but it sounds like it'll be about 185. Okay, about 185. Don't know exactly. So you have to have Part B if you want medical services. So if you want to see your doctors, that's Part B. Believe it or not, there are some people, possibly in this room, who don't have Part B. Why? And usually they're a man, by the way. Because the man doesn't go anywhere but where? To the hospital, you got dragged in there, okay? So they're like, as long as I got A, I'm good. And they don't want to go to the doctor. Right? That's just the way it is, okay? And ladies, you're the ones got to force it to go. My wife still has to set all my doctor's appointments like she's not a job. Because literally she goes, why wouldn't you go to the doctor? Because they always find something wrong with you. They're like a dentist. You go to the dentist, they're going to find something wrong with you, okay? They're out of business if all they do is clean. They got to find something wrong. I say if I never go, I don't know, and therefore I don't need any pills if they want to give me. So there you go. Okay, questions on part A and B. So basically, I've described, if you're in an airplane, and you know the plane is going to crash, and you can jump out of the airplane and there's a parachute, do you put it on or do you not? You know, I haven't had anybody say, no, I think I'll just go without it. Okay? Well, basically, Medicare, by and of itself, is jumping out of the plane without a parachute. Because at some point, you're exposed to 100% financial ruin. Okay? And most of it, that's not what we worked hard for. But by golly, the doctors and the hospitals, they don't care. They don't care. They're going to bill you nonetheless, and they're going to get their pound of flesh. They're going to provide their service, but they're going to get, they want to get paid. Okay? So let's talk about that. Now, how many of you have ordered your book for next year? It's available now. Have you got your book? There, look at this right here. Look at this. So you can get this book. It's beautiful. I call it the Bible. It is the Bible. Medicare, all things Medicare. Where do you go to get it? You go to Medicare.gov or SSA.gov, either way. And you simply, in the search bar, if you want, type Medicare and You Handbook, and it'll allow you to download it, PDF, or order up to 5 of those mailed to you, free of charge. Okay? I recommend everybody have it because every year Medicare changes. Every year it does. As agents, we have to do continuing education every year just because of all the changes that happen. So order your handbook, get it. It's important you have it. Okay? I'm glad to see you. Good deal. Some people don't even know what it is. So, who can get Medicare? Do you have to be 65 to get it? Who could possibly qualify under 65? If they were on had a disability continuous for 24 months or longer, right? So if they're on SSI or SSDI, however you want to say it, and they're 24 months continuous, they automatically qualify for Medicare on the 25th month. And they will get their Medicare card in the mail, and they will be covered under Medicare. Okay? So they're no longer covered under the state insurance, would be the federal. Now, some people still have federal and state, which would be Medicare and Medicaid. And in Tennessee, we call that Medicaid. Right? Okay. So those folks are what we call dual eligible. They are eligible for both, meaning the federal part is the Medicare and the state part is TennCare, and that means the state will help pay some of their costs associated with their Medicare plan, and sometimes all of them, depending on the level of Medicare or Medicaid. So just know that. So you have to be 65 or disabled and a U.S. citizen, right there, and you have to have lived in the state or the country for 5 consecutive years. So what are we in right now? Almost. So October 1st allows agents like the Williams to talk about the new plan. But you can't actually sign up for a new plan or change your plan until the beginning of 15th until the 7th of December. Okay? That's what we call AEP, Annual Election Period. And every year is the annual election period is when you can make changes for the upcoming year based off of whatever Medicare rules are changing. Okay? And anyone can do it. That's why it's called annual election period. Now, for some, after January, starting January 1st to March 31st, we call that open enrollment period. And some folks that have Medicare Advantage plans can change Medicare Advantage plans during that time. So maybe they got one and wanted to change to another one. They can do that during OEP. So they have another election period. But most have to wait till this time of year to make changes. Okay? January 1st to the end of March. That would be OEP, Open Enrollment Period. So we're going to talk a couple things. We talked about A, we talked about B. Let's talk about Part D. Part D stands for Yeah, just say drugs, right? Drugs. D is drugs, meaning prescription drugs, okay? I need to clarify, if you are getting drugs administered to you at a facility, maybe it's cancer treatment, maybe it's infusions, but you're going somewhere to get those, what kind of drugs are those? Are they prescription drugs? They're not. They're not under Part B. They're actually medical drugs. They're Part B because somebody has to give them to you. So it's a good thing we talk about this because they are not covered under your Part B. They're covered under Medicare. So 80% Medicare pays, 20% you will pay for those drugs. Okay? So just know that. So if you're going somewhere to get medicine given to you, it is Part B medical. Part B medical, that's how that works. So sometimes folks get confused on that because they don't get a prescription per se for that. All right? But Part B is anything we get a prescription for, right? So I'm going to do a little test here. Think of all the medicines you're taking and the co-pays you're paying. I want to see who has the most expensive copay. Okay? So, does anyone have a copay that is more than $100 for a drug? Really? In this group? Really? Good for you all. Good for you all. You're not taking those TV medicines. If it's on TV, it's going to be more than $100 a month. Let's just call it what it is. There's no generic equivalent. If it's on TV, it's expensive. Okay? But most folks have their medicines, and in the Medicare world, we have these called tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So depending on your plan and what you have and your drug that you're taking, it has a different cost. Generics, of course, is what? Cheaper. Usually at no charge, depending on the plan you have. Tier 3 is considered name brand, so TV medicine. Tier 4 is specialty type drugs. So that would be for chronic conditions, usually are Tier 4. And they just the higher up the tier, the more expensive it becomes. But the good news this year, and I don't have a slide for it, what has changed this year? When I say this year, I mean 25. Okay. Anybody know what's happening with prescription drugs? They said it's going to be great. Right. And yet it depends, okay, who you are. It will not necessarily be great, but whenever the government tells us something's going to happen, okay, so right now, if you have medicine, you have what's called the donut hole. Anybody ever heard of the donut hole? Yeah. Coverage gap? Yeah. So right now, I start in January, I take a medicine, and I may pay $0 for the medicine out of my plan, but the medicine's got a cost to it, right? So let's say the cost is $100. That total cost for that drug of $100 adds to all your other medicine, and if you get to over $5,000, once you get to $5,000 in total drug cost, you now are in the donut hole. And that's from $5,000 to $8,000, and at that point you pay 25% of the drug cost. So you were paying maybe $0, and now when you get in the donut hole, you pay $25 for that same $100 drug. That's how it is now. And then if you did get beyond $8,000, you would pay nothing for your drug test. So the government, in the Inflation Reduction Act in 1922, wow. 2022, yeah, they didn't even think we'd have it. They put together this like 1,700 pages. Nothing to do with the Inflation Reduction, I don't think. But okay. They put this in play, and they have now changed it to where in 2025, your total maximum out-of-pocket drug costs will be reduced to $2,000. Now that sounds great. Like the government, though, they usually put plans in place with no idea how to pay for it. So who's paying for it? Government. Government's not paying for it. They just said, here's the law. So you can always say, if they come up with something great, we paying for it. Somebody's paying for it. Well, they actually put a big chunk of this cost on the insurance carriers who don't have anything to do with these drugs. They don't make it. But 60% of the drug cost is now to be paid for by your insurance carrier. So now you're in business. You have an insurance company, and they just told you this. And currently, maybe you're only paying 20% of that cost. Now you got to come up with another 40%. What would you probably do with your prices of your product? You'd increase the premiums, right? Right. But in the law, they said, oh, and by the way, please don't increase your premiums. You can't. You can only increase them by 6%. Well, they increased the cost by 40%, or really 200% when you look from 20 to 60. But we can't raise the premiums. So how are we going to get the money to pay for these drugs? Can't raise premiums. So what do you think might happen? Who here has auto insurance? Hopefully. When you call your agent up and say, hey, my premium went up, I'm mad, I haven't had a claim in 10 years, what's going on? What do they say? So things cost more, that's why. I usually, because my wife is an Allstate agent for 17 years, and I love working the phones whenever I say, well, which part of your car don't you want? What kind of question is that? It's exactly what, I can reduce your premium as long as you don't want a replacement of your vehicle, as long as you want actual cash value or the equivalent to what it's worth today. But if you crash 5 years from now, the cars don't seem to be going down in price. I bet you want a new car, don't you? You want one to replace it? Yes, I do. Okay, well, that costs money now. So that's the idea. Well, if I want to keep my premium from going up, what do they usually do to keep my premium from going up? Deductible. So if I don't want my premium, which is what I'm paying now, to go up, I will go and say, change my deductible, which means raise it. Because guess what? That actually doesn't cost me any money now. But when does it cost you money? When you need it. So it's an easy way to make you feel good until your house burns down or your car's in an accident, and they go, oh yeah, you remember that complaint you had about the premium? So we're going to give you a check for $20,000 to replace your car, and we're going to subtract that $2,000. That was the deductible that you said you wanted to keep. What? I didn't do that. Yes, you did. You signed this form. You said yes, because you never thought you'd get in accident. Now we are, and you lost $2,000. So that's what's going to happen. So most people now don't have deductibles on their prescription drug plans. Medicare now has a maximum deductible of $590 for your drug plan. That means you pay out of pocket first before your copays even kick in. So, talk to your agent. They will go through your medicines. They will go through all of this and say, what's changed? Is it going to cost me more or not? So you need to know that those changes are happening. Don't ignore things. Please get some expert advice. They have a great little tool where they can plug all your medicines in and show you what your costs will be and whether or not this $2,000 thing is going to be a good or bad thing for you. Okay? But just know deductibles have now, they're going to show up to help cover some of those costs. Questions on that? Good. Clear as mud? Clear as mud. Okay. So we talked about Part D. Now, there are types of insurance. So we all agree that Medicare all by itself is probably not enough, and I don't want to pay that out-of-pocket cost, right? So how do I stop that? Who here, by raise of hand, would like to have no bills? Okay, because she knows there's a catch to the no bills. All right, so you want no bills. How much are you willing to pay per month for no bills? Zero. Everybody says zero. And guess what? Zero don't buy no bills. Okay? You got paid for no bills. Now, there is zero in a premium. You can have that, but that plan is considered, hey, I pay as I go. So I've got $0 premium per month, but only when I use my insurance would I have a copay. So there's a plan for everybody. We call those two The zero no bill is called a Medicare supplement, and it's a kind of a misnomer. It's not a Medicare policy. It just covers what Medicare doesn't pay. So that deductible of $1,600 and some change, it would pay that. But in order to get that, you have to pay a higher premium. Okay, so you have a higher premium for the no bills. If I want to have a lower premium and pay as I use it, but still have good coverage that limits my cap, meaning I don't have 20% unlimited, I actually have exposure to only my copays, and I have a maxed out of pocket, then that would be a Medicare Advantage plan. And that actually is a Medicare plan. So it's administered by Medicare, and all the coverage is told that you have to cover these Medicare costs. It basically is your Medicare with more, okay? And so we'll talk more about that. That would maybe have a premium of 0 to maybe 150. Yeah, I'm thinking about all the insurance carriers in the state of Tennessee. I think the most expensive plan might be 200, okay, for that type of plan. And then, so again, the more I pay per month, the less I pay when I need it. The less I pay per month, the more I may pay out of pocket when I need it. But it's only when I need it, okay? Questions on that? No? Do you feel like this?
Yeah.
There are about only 13 or 14 letters you need to know. Really. I mean, I took A, B, D, that's your Medicare stuff. Part C is the Medicare Advantage. And then if you have a supplement, you got A, B, F, G, N, L, O, P, Q, and O. You got a lot of different things to choose from. So I always try to keep things simple when I talk to customers. What is it you want? Everybody says no bills, no premium. But that's like the teeter-totter. They are never on the same side. One's low, one's high. They're always on the opposite side. So keep that kind of in mind. It would be great to have no bills and no premium, but that doesn't exist and it never will. Okay? All right. So we talked about this. Part A covers hospital inpatient care, but does not cover everything while you're in there. Part B is your doctor visits and outpatient. This is right now what it costs, okay? So Part A, you get that for no charge if you did what? How do you get that for free? Everybody says work 10 years. It's actually 40 quarters. So you could have taken part-time gig, it might take 20 years, right? 40 quarters of work qualifies you to have this no charge. Now your deductible, $1,632. If you go back in 61 days, guess what? You gotta pay it again. Okay, gotta pay it again. So if you're hospital, you go to the hospital a lot, it's gonna be very expensive. You need something else, okay? No out-of-pocket limit. We already talked about it, okay? So that's your premium right now. That $174.70. It's going to go up, $10 maybe. You do have a deductible, by the way, if you have Medicare only on medical of $240. So you have to pay that first, and then the 20% kicks in. No out-of-pocket limit. Okay. There's the tiers I talked about. All right. So again, your drugs fall into these tiers. How do I know what tier my drug's in? How can I find that out? Just, you need to say, call ambulance with. The other way you can do it is you can look it up on your own and go on to Medicare.com, Medicare.gov, and type in your drugs, and it will tell you possibly. But the problem with that is it's not going to tell you because every plan available that you have has a different formulary. So we're in church. How many different versions of the Bible are there? So I'm going to use this as my analogy. If you don't like reading the King James Version, because that's hard to understand, you might go to what? is there possibility that some words might be a little different in interpretation from one to the other? Guess what? That's a formulary, meaning Humana has a formulary on this plan, and my drugs are all covered. This is King James Version. It's the most true. Or you. But you have drugs, and you go type it in, and guess what? That formulary isn't as good for her drug. That's the difference, because there isn't a standard formula. That's why you have to every year look. And this year, there are going to be changes to this formula. Why? You've got to figure it out. So if you had a tier 1 generic, you were paying 0 for it. If you had a tier 2 generic, you were paying 0 for 90-day supply. You might go to the drugstore on January, and they may tell you you have a deductible and your copay change. Just know this is what's coming. Is it possible to get ahead of it? Absolutely. So now's the time to do it, okay? But drugs change every year, the formula. So again, it's not that drugs aren't covered, it's just some are different. The words are different, meaning the formula is different, okay? And so for each of us, we may need a different plan for the drug component alone, just because it works better for our medicine. Okay. I'm going to talk about this. This is supposed to resemble kind of, you can get stuff in the mail. You all know that, right? And if you do, it's actually really helpful. You can get all your drugs sent to you in the mail. And I do it, and once it's set up, it's like slick. But you know why we really want people to get their medicine in the mail? From an insurance standpoint and from a doctor standpoint, you get a 90-day supply usually when you do mail order versus 30. What's the chance that you always take your medicine if you get a 90-day supply?
Okay.
You get a much higher, you take your meds. You don't tend to miss them. Whereas 30-day supply, we call that medicine adherence. They tend to forget, oh, I got to go fill my script, and I'll miss a few days in between. And health changes. Yes.
Okay. Now, let's say you go to the doctor, you got 90 days going on, and this time he's going to reduce the dosage and change it. That's exactly what he's going to do. So I'm not one to just get medication and sit there, and then go in between that 90 days, you go back to the doctor and say, oh, we're going to change that then. So there you are, going through that process again.
Yeah. It used to be hard to do the mail order. Now it's the doctor can send that straight into the mail order pharmacy. It used to be a little bit of a problem. Now it's the same as if it's going to Kroger. Okay, it's the same. So they will get the script. The difference is if you need the medicine today, mail order can't get it to you today. It'll be 3 or 4 or 5 days. So I always say your maintenance medicines, mail order works great. If you have something due to a recent issue, go fill it locally. But the answer to your question is most of the time your local pharmacy is going to be able to handle the change right away. But I will always say this: sometimes the insurance companies will only allow a 30-day supply on certain types of medicines, especially if they're narcotic in nature. So just know that, and that tends to be better filled locally, right? However, I have seen with certain mail order pharmacies that same prescription that would be 30 days at your local pharmacy can get 90 days through mail order. Again, it comes down to we want you taking your medicine so that you don't miss it, so you don't end up in the hospital. That's why. And so it's good for you to have 90-day supplies. So do it whenever you can. And it saves you money as well. Okay? All right, so we're going to talk about how. So if I have a Medicare, I got the no bills plan. I got the no bills plan. I have a supplement. All right? Who issues supplement policies? Where do I get them? supposed to say insurance companies.
Insurance company.
So whatever insurance company you go to that offers a supplement, it is an individual policy for you based off your age and your health. It is not guaranteed issue, except for at a small time when you're turning 65 and just after, for a few months after, you are guaranteed issue. After that, a supplement is a private insurance policy designed to pick up what Medicare doesn't pay for, but you have to qualify. And because it's a private insurance policy, your rates will go up every year because you are closer and closer to death. Now, what she means to say is worse health. The longer I live, the greater the chance is that I'm going to get sick, right? So a claim is inevitable because of that. Now, a Medicare Advantage plan, because it is a Medicare policy, it is very much like true group insurance. There are no health questions. Everybody is eligible, everybody gets it, and the premiums tend to be low and stable. For the most part, that's the difference in those two. One is a Medicare plan administered by Medicare, and then they ask insurance companies to take care of the members. A supplement just picks up the cost that Medicare doesn't pay for, but its cost is associated to your age and your health, okay? Now, the supplement is the no bills plan. The younger you are, the lower the premium. The older you get, it gets and if you have a plan F, which is no longer available, it's grandfathered in, but I promise you, it is designed to make you get rid of it. The premiums are painful. They're getting worse and worse, okay? If you're 75 to 80, your premiums right now are close to $400 a month. Plus you pay Part B, okay? And you have to pay for your Part B. So a person that has a plan F might be paying $175 a month. Their prescription drug plan, let's say it's $40 a month. Then they have their supplement, and they still don't have dental, vision, or hearing. So they might have a dental policy as well. Maybe they choose not to, and they just don't get their teeth checked. But those three policies alone are going to run you close to $500 a month. That's a lot of money, okay? So just know that is why Medicare Advantage now is the most popular, and 54% of seniors now have Medicare Advantage versus the supplement, because it just gives you more value and price control. And at some point, look, we don't make any more money that I'm aware of once we retire. Some people do. That's because they have a lot of money to start with, right? So that money keeps making them money, or whatever their investments were. Okay. Medicare Advantage, on the other hand, it's all inclusive. So I have my prescription drug plan is in it. My Medicare Part B is in it. My Medicare Part A is in it. It also comes with extra benefits like dental, vision, and hearing. So it's a little more comprehensive, and it's stable on my premium. So again, do what's best for you, but it tends to be those are the big differences. The good news is, either way you go, you're better than the red, white, and blue all by itself. Okay? No matter what. Okay. So let's talk about, so we just explained that. So if you have a supplement, you have to have Part D as well. That's your drug. If you don't sign up for Part D, what can happen? Well, you don't have drug coverage, so you're going to be penalized when you do sign up for it. Okay? If you don't sign up for Medicare Part B, this is good. Hold on. Part A and B, when do you sign up for that? Based off what I'm hearing, most of you don't know. Who is the only group that gets auto-enrolled in Part A and B? They are automatically signed up. Only people drawing Social Security checks. So Social Security disability or early Social Security at 62, they are auto-enrolled at age 65. Everyone has to sign up. And if you don't, you are penalized when you do. And that penalty, by the way, is for the rest of your life, as long as you have Medicare. Okay? So, when you turn 65, please sign up for Part A at a minimum, and Part B is your medical. But if I'm still working, maybe I don't need Part B. But please sign up for Part A. Because if you don't sign up, you could have a penalty. Okay? Yes, sir.
If you still work,
Yes.
well, when do you guys, how early do you need to do this before you're 65? And if you're
Great
still
question.
working, is it best to go get me too?
So I'm going to almost say yes, but it depends on your group health plan. So when can you sign up? 3 months before you turn 65, 3 months after you turn 65. You have 7 months there that you can sign up for Medicare Part A and B. The question was, should I sign up for Part B if I'm still working? Maybe my group health plan is better. I have yet to see now any group health plan that's better than anything you can get through Medicare. And here's why. A traditional group plan, let's say your employer is wonderful and they pay your whole premium, which is possible for the employee, right? So a lot of members base it on that. Well, my employer pays for it. It's free. Is it free? Mm-hmm. No. What do you have that you have to pay for? We already talked about it. What do you pay first before their copays kick in? And most health plans now, a low deductible plan in the world we're in now is $1,000. That's low. That means it's expensive. Okay. The average health plan now is $2,500 deductible with a max out of pocket of usually 3 to 4 times that. So it'll be like $7,500 or $10,000 max out of pocket. So you pay your deductible, then their insurance kicks in, the 80-20. And you're paying 20% of the bill until your out-of-pocket exposure is whatever the max out-of-pocket is. Well, if I have a supplement, do I have a max out-of-pocket issue? No. I just have to pay the premium. Because everything else is paid for by the supplement, right? So that could be $150 a month when I'm starting out at 65. And then I got my Part B. So I might be paying $300 a month for my cost, but other than that, I don't have any other costs. I don't have any deductibles or something. If I have a Medicare Advantage plan, I could pay $0, and then I have copays whenever I go use it. And my max out of pocket could be $4,900. But I'm not paying any premium for it. And so that I can save that money for the rainy day. Kind of like we do with group insurance, we put it in an HSA, right? We put it in a health savings account for that rainy day fund. Well, a lot of people working might already have that money. So it depends. So the answer is compare it at the time, but please sign up for Part A at a minimum when you turn 65 or thereabouts. Okay? That answer that? All right. Some people, this again, we talked about this. Which one? What's better? A lot of folks don't. There's a lot of now. Why is it 54% of seniors have a Medicare Advantage plan? If everything you read and your doctor tells you don't do it. I mean, these doctors don't want you to have a Medicare Advantage plan. Why? If the doctor is telling you to change insurance plans, first of all, you need to say, stay in your lane, doc. Your job is to take care of it. If you need to follow the money, okay? Medicare Advantage plans require them to do more for you. They have to actually prevent you from going to the hospital. They actually have to care for you as a human being and do diagnosis and testing to keep you from going to the hospital. That don't pay the bills very well. It takes too darn long. They get to see 3 Medicare-only customers for 1 Medicare Advantage. So for them, it's like waiting tables at, Apple. I need you to talk, and say speak, and go. Because I'm educating kids, right? The last thing I want you to do is have 5 courses and, I need you to go. That's how the Medicare mindset works. But the value concept is when I'm in a Medicare Advantage plan, it's designed to make you more whole as a human being, keep you healthy as a human being. Therefore, it requires more work. Now, who's got a question? There are things called networks. Let's talk about networks, right? These are the type of networks. By the way, your group insurance has networks. Almost all group insurance now is a PPO. Believe it or not, 20 years ago, go back further, most group insurance was an HMO. In fact, Denzel Washington has a famous movie. That's how old I am. John Q. Remember John Q? That was all about an HMO. And it was out west. And that HMO was Kaiser. That was they're a huge HMO out in the west. And they wouldn't pay for his son to be taken care of. And he finally just said, "That's enough. I'm gonna handle business." And I appreciate that move. Because I had kids and he handled business. Was it right or wrong? No. I mean, should they have covered it? Yeah. But now, so that's why HMOs have a bad reputation. Is because they were very restrictive before. Now HMOs are very health-minded, keep you out of the hospital mindset. And so we want to take care of you ahead of time, and we definitely want to over-prevent things. So they are more about health maintenance now, whereas back then they were very restrictive. So I'm going to ask, raise your hand if you have Sam's Club card. Ooh, a lot of people. Okay. Do you have Costco? Raise your hand. And if you have both. Woo, there we go. So this is how I explain networks. It's great. How many of you have none of those cards? All right. That's your Medicare folks. Medicare only. They can go wherever they want. They can't go in the club. They can't go to the club. They got to have a pass. They got to call. They got to have a card. Sam's only. Costco only. Those are your HMO folks. And those of us who have phones, we're PPOs. We go where we want, but we like going to the club because what? When we go there, we get treated, we feel it's better value, right? We get better value, and we'll pay a membership for that. Some of us just kind of go, Costco's got better, Sam's got better. I'm going to just have both. And that's a PPO kind of mindset. Those that don't have any card to any club, you're free to go wherever you want. You just can't go there. Unless you have membership. And that would be an example of a value-based provider kind of mindset, of a place where you have to be a member to get this quality care. In our community here, that would be like Oak Street, dedicated. Those are considered value-based care providers where a member can go in there and get almost all their services taken care of there. And it's valuable, huge value if you've ever experienced it. So again, you got all that, but I love comparing things to what we already know. Because when we think of a network, don't think of it as restrictive per se. Think of it as, I actually as a member get better care. The doctors may not like it because they get paid less. But they don't. They get paid more to take care of you and keep you out of the hospital. Yes, question?
Is Devoted one of their advantage plans? Devoted?
So Devoted is an insurance company that offers plans. Yes. Yep. They're new to Tennessee. We've been doing it 30 years. When you talk about the Humana brand. So every company, but the insurance companies offer supplements and advantage plans. Yep. Questions? Okay. So PPO, do we kind of understand it? Yeah. Okay.
Rather than have the Medicare Advantage plan, but I have an example. I have a very good friend of mine.
I didn't quite say that. I said it depends on your situation.
Okay, then thank you for.
Yeah.
You're right. It does
depends on your situation. Yeah.
Thank you.
Because they're both serve a purpose, but if I want no bills, I'm going to go with the supplement. Probably, right? But I'll pay more for that. But I know that.
But this is what happened. My friend, her mom, she had had Medicare Advantage for years, love it.
Sure.
Then her husband had stomach cancer.
Right.
Medicare Advantage would not pay for it. They would not. She had to switch back to Medicare plan.
So we're going to talk about that. It's a great point. Medicare Advantage plans cover and pay for whatever Medicare covers and pays for. Now, did it require pre-authorization? And the answer is, depending on the insurance company, it does. Sure. And so, stomach cancer is always going to be covered. that is under Medicare Part B, it will always be covered, but there will be 20% out of pocket for that surgery, up to the maximum out of pocket limit of that policy. So that sounds like a situation that might have gotten a little awry because there was no pre-authorization received ahead of time. Okay, and often, and by the way, I'm very glad the doctors are contingent upon whether or not surgeries get paid. So if a doctor sends in pre-authorization with absolutely no notes and no reason why the surgery is required, it will always get denied. Always. Well, guess who denies it? Medicare does. Because it's a Medicare plan, that's what it is. They have to have a reason and they have to show that they have tried step therapy of some sort to keep it from being a major surgery. If they do that and they have documentation of it, it's always approved. And then it goes up to the limit of the Medicare Advantage plan, whichever plan they have. So that's unfortunate because it is covered. I can show you the evidence to cover this covered. So yeah, but there will be a 20% exposure to the cost up to the maximum amount of time. Okay, yeah, good question. Because that's sometimes the pre-authorization and doctor's approvals. The insurance company's not just going to approve a surgery. It costs money, right? Neither will Medicare. You have to have a reason for it. And it's just no different than the VA. Right? If you go to the VA, they're just not going to perform a surgery for you because you have access to the VA. You usually have to have what to get your surgery? A connection to a service-related issue. Otherwise, you're not getting it. So again, pre-authorization and doctor's verification and notes showing, hey, we've tried everything. We're at surgery time. So, good point. We don't have very many PFFSs anymore. That's how Medicare Advantage started, and it was basically like Medicare. Wherever they accept Medicare, they pay for it. Arkansas still has one of those plans, actually. Yeah, so it's rare. Most of the time it's PPO or HMO. Now, if you have an HMO plan, you may have a very robust plan, but you have to stay within what? The network. So if your doctor's not in the network, then you're probably going to want to get remember the formulary question? Not all networks are created equal. So, how many of you think Sam's Club's a better network? Those that have Sam's Club cards, do you think it's more prevalent than Costco? Well, yeah, there's more of them around here than there are Costco, right? That would be an example of a better network. But Sam's Club also gives you access to Walmart, favorite markets. So they have a really good network. Costco, on the other hand, out here, great care, but limited network. So not all HMOs are created equal. So just know that. So you could have a plan that has great coverage, great benefits, but only available at certain places. You could have another plan that's got great coverage, great benefits, but accepted at all. So not all HMOs are created equal. Okay? All right. I think we're almost done there. So, I know you have questions. Why would you pick? I think hopefully at a minimum I've helped you understand why you shouldn't have red, white, and blue only. That it's just, there's a no parachute scenario, okay? Doesn't make any sense. Yes. The reason most people that were customers of mine said, I want Medicare so I can choose and go to whatever doctor I want to go to. And that's fine. And then I usually say, who's your doctor? Dr. Smith. How long have you seen Dr. Smith? 20 years. Doesn't seem like we're shopping for a doctor, are we? Oh no, it never changed. So your argument of, I can see whatever doctor I want, doesn't seem to hold up water. And by the way, Dr. Smith is in the HMO network, and we love him, and he loves us. So why would you not go with that and get more? And so sometimes it comes down to just education of what we consider to be freedom. All HMOs are not created equal. Some are national networks. And so wherever you go in the country, you have coverage. Not all are the same. PPOs have in-network and out-of-network. So if I go in network, I'm going to be very similar to an HMO. I pay low price, low fees, low cost, good care. If I go out of network, I'm going to pay more than if I was in network. And that's okay. Your copay would be a little higher, or your co-insurance would be a little more out of pocket, but it gave you the freedom, the flexibility to go out of network. If you're in this part of the country and you want to go to Vanderbilt, there's, I think, only 2 insurance companies they accept now, which is crazy. And it's only PPO. They are not in any HMO network. Campbell Clinic, same thing. Campbell Clinic almost takes no insurance HMO plans and very few PPO plans. So just know if you want to go to some of those places, you're very limited in your choices. And of course, the Williams know who those choices can be. But just compare it, because trust me, when you want care, you want to be able to go where you can get the best care possible. And that's where that concept of network is important. Original Medicare allows you to go wherever they take it, that's fine. But just remember, the moment I sign up for Original Medicare, I'm 20% of the bill unlimited. And that is a lot, especially if you're going to Vanderbilt. Okay? So just think about that. Get yourself a good plan that takes care of you. Questions can always be found on those resources there. I always say I'm a believer in talking to someone, right, that might know my situation. Because it allows me to, all health plans in the Medicare world are individual. They are for you. Very seldom should couples just have the same insurance like they did while they were working, right? Or the family had the same insurance. It's group insurance. Medicare doesn't, you can pick yours. You can pick yours. You can pick yours, and you can design it however you want. And I've seen that time and time again, where the wife maybe wanted no bills. I don't want any bills. And the guy says, what? I'm never going out to them. And it goes with the, I won't pay anything. I need to go golf. I need to go fish. Whatever. I need that money to do what I want to do. And that's okay too, because that's your design. And guess what? Every year you can change. Without any time, this is your time of year to say, do I want to evaluate things? Because health changes. If you know you're on the hook for a bunch of surgeries or some treatments, guess what? You can always sign up for a Medicare Advantage plan because there are no health questions. You cannot sign up for a supplement because you're sick and they won't accept you. So just know, agents know this, that if a person is truly got issues and they're sick, the supplement might be the best way to go, because when they turn 65, they're guaranteed coverage. But after that first 6 months, there is no guarantee. So that's sometimes the right thing to do. Knowing full well that I can always change to a Medicare Advantage plan with no health questions later. Now the other scenario is, what? If I'm really healthy, I can go either way, and if money's no object, a lot of people just say, I'm going to choose a supplement. But my question is, why would you? Because you probably already have the money in the bank to cover the worst case scenario on the Medicare Advantage plan. So save the money and spend it on the grandkids. Go on a cruise. Do something you like. Because your worst case scenario is already covered. So I always say, just whatever you don't leave it to red, white, and blue on the sleeve. Leave, okay? And this year, become an RX expert. There's 2 right here can take care of you. If you see those forms on the table there, you don't have to fill it out, but that's the only way they can reach out to you, by the way. So if you would like to have a conversation about your situation, do that, because we as Medicare licensed folks cannot solicit your business. We cannot reach out to you unless you give us permission. So that's what that is, okay? And your friends, if you share their names, they can't call them either. The friend has to call them. So just know, we are ethical. We try to do it. I can't say that about the call centers. They're ruthless. So I would say, don't answer that phone call. And when you watch a Westerns late at night, don't call that 800 number. Call the Williams, okay? And they'll take care of you. All right. Thank you for having me. Cameron, turn it over to you.
I hope that was helpful to everyone.
Yes.
Okay, good, good. We have light refreshments. I'm just not a big talker, so I'm gonna have Adrian come up and we're gonna bless the food and then we can mingle and review. Need anything, fill the form out and I'll call you and then, you know, if you have notes, take them down. If you have questions, go ahead and get them prepared. So when we get on the phone, you can already have everything and I can look everything up and see what you, the plan that you're in. If it's a good plan, then we'll just take it from there. Okay, that's fair? Okay. Brother Lee.
Thank you. That's very, very grateful. That's all. Thank you for this opportunity to be here. Thank you for everything on out. Thank you for allowing us to see. We pray that the school is for our nation. Thank you for praying. In Jesus' name, we pray. Amen.
You need to, you know. And I didn't want to. I don't know.
You did, I was just.
Okay. So everyone, the food is over on the left, the food is on the left, people should get food. And also the health ministry will go to the back.
long thing. I know, they had laid out every little thing we do.